Hi, I'm so excited to welcome my VIP guest for today's episode on Glam Care Academy. I'm talking about a vibrant young lady, well, youngish. I don't know her age, but she is just radiant. She is beautiful personality and she doesn't accept no for an answer. She's taken the world, this industry by storm, all the way from the UK. And here in America, her products are quite the rage. And I'm talking about Kiki Medelian, the face, the power, the woman behind Liquid Lipo Limited. I can't wait to talk to her because she's going to share with us her journeys, her challenges, and what she hopes that her products are going to be doing in this industry. I just love talking to her because she's got this energy about her and it's very infectious. So without wasting much time, let's bring her on. Hi. Oh my goodness. I again remember I've told you guys who I have today. That's my alarm going off telling me I have to get with Kiki.
Well, we're here. We've beat the alarm.
True, we did. So with me today, I have a lovely, energetic, hardworking, go-getter, stares fear in the face and punches fear, says no to no. And I'm talking about Kiki Medelian. She is the CEO. She's the scientific developer. She is the face behind the famous, the very popular, worldwide global Liquid Lipo Limited. Kiki,
That's me. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. I'm really stoked to be talking to you because I love your products.
That's always a good start.
I do. I love your products. They give desired results. So before we get into the products, which we are going to, because that's why you're here, how did your journey start? Why Liquid Lipo? Where did you start from?
So it's a little bit of a selfish reason. I think maybe that's why most people start developing something. I was so frustrated with my own stomach, and I knew there had to be more to it than the options that were out there. Now, I will start by saying I am an advocate for diet and exercise and detoxing, but sometimes that isn't the end of what you can do. So I'd had 13 operations. I have endometriosis and I had a lot of scar tissue. And it seemed the more operations I'd have, the more weight I'd gain. Now, I didn't realise till starting university that there is like a correlation between that. But I was just following atypical advice. So I went to the gym to start off with. And do you know what? I went bigger because I was building muscle behind scar tissue. I have visceral fat and I was inflamed. So my body was just holding on to everything. And I remember running a half marathon and I was in so much pain, but at the biggest I'd ever been in my life, I'm feeling like something's seriously wrong here. I don't understand why this is. And then I had a little bit of an eating disorder because I stopped eating to try and help me lose weight, which I don't advocate at all. I became really ill, but I didn't lose it on my stomach. So as my frame went smaller, I still had this pot belly, and the smaller I was
that?
like a twig with a big tummy. And I couldn't have any more children. I'd had 2 ectopics. So it was quite upsetting to be constantly asked if I was pregnant, because that's what people will ask you when you've got like quite a rounded tummy, especially because the rest of me was smaller. So I researched a lot of stuff and I went for fat dissolve injections. Unfortunately, they couldn't drain because of my scar tissue. So I didn't feel that they worked for me. I also had the cavitation. Now, the cavitation sound couldn't get under the scar tissue. It was only quite a lower grade one. So that didn't work for me either. So I was like, oh, nothing's really, didn't want to have another operation to remove, well, it was scar tissue and fat. So I had this, what I thought was amazing wrap, and I lost like 4 inches. But the next day I put all of these inches back on, and I thought, what a con, what an absolute con for like £85 to just dehydrate me. So I
Right.
was really disappointed with that, and I thought there's got to be another answer. So after university, I learned, whilst going through, in Bulgaria, they treat lipomas and lymphedema with a topical product rather than surgery, injectables, and they were treating lymphedema with like an anti-inflammation gel. So I thought, well, I'll give it a go. Probably won't work, but I've tried everything else.
Wow.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is amazing. What do we do? There was nothing like this in the UK. It wasn't done. It was all more injectables. So to say I started where a lot of people do, I mixed things up in my kitchen before getting an official biochemist involved, because I wanted to make sure, one, that I'd get the desired effect. And the first 99 didn't work. Some would dissolve each other, some wouldn't go as a carrier, but you learn a lot more by it not working because you know what you need to fix. So that everything is a learning curve. I used to take everything really critically, personally. I'd feel attacked, but you're learning everything as a lesson, and it's so refreshing. I love learning off other people. If you want to tell me how to do it differently and it's going to help me, sit me with someone better than me so I can learn. And I love that. I've got such admiration for so many people in this business. But yes, we finally had 99 and 100 be two formulas that worked. So one of them, known as Thermo, didn't get approved. It wasn't safe enough for the public, and it couldn't be used in home. So we parked that, but we will come back to that.
Okay.
So Lipo was safe enough to use at home, and on our body mass scales, we started literally, no machines involved, applying the gel, measuring them. They'd stand on a Renfo scale, which shows sub-fat or visceral fat, and we'd repeat it for 4 or 5 days, and all they'd have to do, there was no extenuating variables, they just had to drink water, because it didn't matter about diet, exercise, anything else. I didn't want anything else to matter. I just wanted to make sure if you were to pick up this bottle, you could still lose weight from the skin.
Wow.
And that's what it showed. But then there was the 5% that I couldn't help, and it really got me because I wanted to help everyone. So I quickly realised, and it's been more common since lockdown, people had a similar issue to me. So it was visceral fat. So although Liquid Lipo got a lot of fat subcutaneous, it could not get under my scar tissue. So I was left with this very small pouch.
Yeah.
And that's where Thermo came in. So that's why it can only be used in clinic, because it's not approved for home use. The reason being, if someone put it on head to toe, they might like start itching, have a reaction. So it's always best to sit with your client when it's on. People do sometimes panic that it's too hot, but the people that need it most don't often feel it's hot because it's just going visceral. So it's just, that's why I'm glad those two worked. So that was the hard part, you'd think, but how do you market this? Nobody's going to believe it works.
Yeah.
How do you get it out there?
Right.
And I had the final approval, so safety certificates, cosmetic safety, trading standards, everything signed off to sell this product to the public. And I was like, yes, I can't believe I've done it. Had to find someone to make it first. So that was no. I bombarded this gentleman in the end who did it for me. And he said, how many do you want to buy? 10,000, 20,000? And I said, I've got the budget for 10. So let's start with 10. Well, I've always been able to pay up front, and that was my starting budget. And he went, because you are so cheeky, I am just going to make you 10. He said, but make sure you pay up front. And I said, yeah, no, I'm not trying to con anyone here. Let's go for it.
Right.
So then just as that happened, I thought, oh my God, my life's changing around. We went bang into a lockdown in the UK.
Oh.
So my idea was to go around all the clinics, really go, try this product free. I want you to try it, show the inch loss. And I was just so enthusiastic. And I couldn't do that. And, you know, my confidence has grown slightly, but I am not, I've really struggled in the past to communicate with people. And I had to just get out there and start showing the results. That's the only way I could get this product out there. And somehow I got into America, which was huge for me, you know, being from the UK. But then that gets us to the whole FDA approval. It was approved because it was a cosmetic. And then 12 months later, you didn't need it to be approved. You could have voluntary FDA. And then we come full circle because now we've discussed this before. The rules are saying certain cosmetics need to be a topical pharmaceutical. So I don't know whether the rules are constantly changing. You've got to be on top of that. And I think that's frustrating as a developer. You know, so we do everything we need to, but what's changed in 12 months to make it different to 12 months before? But yeah, I'm proud to say now we've got 500 stockists worldwide, but I'd be lying if I said it was easy, because it really hasn't been easy. And I know there's a lot of women out there, and you know, I seen a conversation in a group today about people developing their own and how they should get a chemist involved. And I don't think you can when you begin, because you haven't got the money. What if you get a chemist to develop something and it doesn't work?
Yeah.
That's quite a big investment for something that's going to have a negative effect. So I think you've got to try it first on yourself, you know, family and friends, and just ensure that you've got your results before you step any further.
So yeah, something you mentioned, and I just want to piggyback off that, is how much support did you get, like mentally and emotionally, from friends and family? I mean, you coming up with a product that's like,
they didn't think it would work.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
really didn't, especially my husband, which we'll get to in a moment. I thought I was maybe having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
So it was difficult. I think if we just go back a little bit, if you don't mind, when in 2016, I was a retail area manager. I was quite high up in a company, and I was unfairly dismissed for raising a health and safety issue to do with heating and running water and the safety of staff. And unfortunately, I just walked out that day because I felt like I was being intimidated for making a complaint that I didn't think was fair. So that's where my standing up for people came from. Now, that wasn't me. I was more like a sheep, if you like. I just wanted to keep the peace, and a job was a job. But when I seen people become ill or their mental health decline, I felt like I had to be the one to stand up. But everyone turned against me. All of my friends, everyone in the company, and I left, and I had a 2-year battle where I was so low, rock bottom. I turned 30 without a job, and I wanted to give up. I thought, this is so embarrassing. I couldn't even go out in public. But winning the court case and showing that I was right gave me that fire. So whenever I walked out of court that day and said, I will never work for anyone again, and my husband burst out laughing, and he knows to this day I will never work for anyone again, because I worked so hard, and as soon as something went wrong, they pulled the rug from under me and wanted to make me a scapegoat. And I don't think that's fair. And we've had discussions about what it's like being a woman in business. But I literally worked, you know, whilst my nan was ill, 18-hour days, in late, in early. Kids would be in after school club, evening club, morning club. And the pay wasn't that great, but I cared about people. I'd go and look at the ingredients in the perfume to ensure it didn't react on people's skin. So it's always been within me. But to have to do it for myself was a lot more difficult than hiding behind another company.
Yeah. And I think, you know, sometimes people don't think this, but I think going through what you went through was the fire you needed. It was time. It was like a blessing, a promotion. Because sometimes we get so comfortable where we are.
Stuck in a rut, and you've had
Yeah.
similar
And
experience.
yeah, and you're like, yeah, you know, but you needed that. But at that time, you didn't think that was what it was. But now, when you think
Yeah,
back, you're like, you need it
that was
because
that was rock
that
bottom for
born.
me. It
Yes.
really was. And it's funny because I've been through operations, and I'd lost babies and had tumors, and but losing my job, being unfairly dismissed,
Yeah.
was rock bottom for me, because I think we as women just function each
Yeah.
day, and we
Yeah.
just get through. We're like on a hamster wheel. So when all of that stopped, I had to deal with these
Mm-hmm.
issues that I've been burying under the carpet for a long time.
Yeah, and that brings me to a question I was going to ask you. You've kind of answered it. It's being a woman in business. Do you find that you're not taken as seriously as you ought? How's
No, I
your
think
journey been? Has he
one
helped
of the
you?
one of the main things I experienced is women in science don't get appreciated as much. It's like I have to prove it more. And I've actually been in lectures where people have asked if I was lost because I don't fit that
Wow,
atypical
that's annoying.
scientist. And I've then gone and spoke at these lectures, but it's still, some days people don't believe me when I say I've made my own product, and it's laughable because I clearly have for 5 years in, but they still don't think that I should be allowed to do that. And
Yeah,
just what a world we
trying
live
to
in.
box
And I
you and
will
label
say
you.
this,
Mm-hmm.
we've got such an amazing support network, not in just our group, but in Erica's group. And I think there is such amazing women really actually clapping for each other, and you don't get that anywhere. And I think it's huge to be part of something like that, because we are so quick to criticize people and pull them down, but we are becoming a little network of people that will help each other and support each other. I actually had a knee-jerk reaction with a lady, and she was talking about my product, but because she hadn't joined our team yet, I thought she was trying to sell her own product on my post, and I really went mental on her. And when I realised, I felt so embarrassed that I gave her free training, because I thought that's just not acceptable to project that onto people. But I actually thought, how bloody cheeky, selling on my post. And she was like, no, it's your Liquid Lipo. And I was like, kill me now.
I know. She caught you on a bad day. But this is the thing. Well, it happens. You know, you're not perfect. So these things happen. But something I'm also going to ask you, and you have touched on it already. How important is it to have a good team around you? Because I think you have a great team of.
Team is so important. I'm a control freak. I think I can do everything myself, but I have some major flaws. I'm not going to lie. I am disorganized. I take 2 days to write an invoice. I'm formulating things in my brain, but I trip over my own feet. I need someone with foundations, reliability, so I can be the nutty professor and help people. And I could read a book for 2 days. I'll be in clinic for 16 hours, 18 hours. I'll just get talking to people because I'm interested in what they've got to say, but someone needs to post the stock.
Right.
So having my husband come on board was a major shock, especially because he didn't think it worked. So before he even came on board, he had to try the product, and he lost 9 inches. So I know, he was like, what a load of crap, just believed in the gym, but he had a small pocket of fat, visceral, muscle building above it. And since that day, he's really been a champion for the brand. But having him here, he's regimented, OCD, he challenges me. I swear a lot more than I did, but he gets it. He sees how hard I work.
Yeah.
But you can imagine him coming on board and questioning the way that I do things.
I know.
Can you believe that?
No.
Well, this is how I do it. But he's came up with a few changes, but he's definitely the anchor to the ship. That's all I'm going to say. I'm the brains behind the outfit. If he made the gel, we wouldn't be where we are now. So, you know, sometimes you have to push through with fire and really believe, but he'd still be reading the instructions on, you know, that's great. We all have our strengths. But also practitioner managers, you know, I've got HR, I've got a really good team, and just the lead practitioners helping. Jay in America is my absolute queen. Imagine not even going to a country and having someone run your business out there. That for a control freak is really scary, but she does it amazingly.
And that's, you know, and that's why I'm bringing up the team. You know, I have not met anyone in person. Well, it's only you now via this, but I think you have a great team because, and one of them, Jay, of course, is great here in America. She's doing her thing, but I also have to mention Mandy.
Yes.
Yeah, you've got Mandy with you. Mandy, I know she is so quick at wanting to help, to teach.
Yeah,
Mandy, you know what I mean?
Yes. Was one of my first practitioners. So, you know, the term giving back to people that have helped you. I had a few problems with my son and personal difficulties that I've always been quite public with because I feel my brand and our family has been built on honesty. So I have been on and done Zooms about things that are going on in my personal life so that people could understand that I am a business owner, but I am a mum of a child who has great difficulties. And unfortunately, sometimes mum duties come first. I completely understand that I've got, but I needed support. And that was Mandy because she didn't even get paid, but she took it upon herself to help me. Yeah. So she was even back when we did Zooms and we didn't have proper training programs, was teaching people how to do a bum lift on her own leg. And that was just massive. So when the opportunity came for practitioner manager, there was no other person I would have chosen. You know, I could have gone for someone with X amount of experience, you know, paid someone who was at the top of their game, but someone that truly believes and has my back and cares about the practitioners.
Heart
and she's never let me down. She's the only person I trust to go out and train, but she completely embodies the brand. And God, she puts up with some crap from me.
She believes in you. And you need someone in your corner, you know, that really believes in you and is cheering you on. And
she does.
And I think, again, I mean, from what I see, you know, I think you have a great team around you, and that's really, really so important. So my next question is, how easy was it to break into the American market? Because I know you're still relatively, how old is the company?
2 years.
2 years, I know. And I'm actually quite impressed because you've made quite an advancement, you know. So how was it breaking into this market here?
So there's a lot of rules and regulations that you don't know about until you start exporting. So we didn't need the FDA after the 12 months, but now in the future we are going to again. So there's things that are always changing, but if you have a product stuck in customs, it's really difficult to get it out and you have to pay for it to be there. So you've got to have certain codes and batch numbers. Everything has to be linked back to where it was made. Whereas this is why I think in those who are developing in America have got it a little bit easier because they haven't got to get it into the country. They've just got to get it into the state. So there's not as many regulations and you can go under the radar and start developing without the proper channels before, you know, you need to get a chemist in, because you can just slowly try it on your clients. And it's really important to make sure that you've got something that's safe. But I do believe in all the regulations, but it sometimes feels like a money-making exercise. especially when you're a small business. So it was easy to get into America, but continuing to sell and build the business was not so easy. The first person, who was Jay, I won't go into it too much, but you know, she sort of let me down a little bit, and I really then had to trust someone else to be the sole distributor in, and that's where Jay come in. But I did have a lot of reservations about whether the same thing would happen. Just about, you know, state exclusivity and ensuring people got the training that I wanted them to get, and the support was the major part. But
Right.
it
Right.
was easy to get into America, but to
And
have a
stay.
sustainable business,
Yeah.
especially in
Right.
lockdown with things getting stopped and
Right.
things like that. But we've got a really helpful person now in the UPS office who knows us and knows the brand, and she's been really, really helpful. We sent her a cake and stuff like that on her birthday, because people just leave things sat there like it's not their problem. But Jay's paid me for stock that she needs to send out, and people won't wait. So as long as it's there stuck, no one's benefiting. And I've sent stock, you know, if that was to get destroyed, I'd have to resend stock. You know, I'd never see Jay out of pocket. And luckily that's never happened. But there is a lot of things when I first started that I wasn't doing correctly, not deliberately, but I didn't know, because I'd just developed something. And I think until you start doing it and people say, there's an easier way to do this, you need to do that. And that come with commercial invoices and customs clearance forms. You can have them printed out ready with each shipment to make things a lot easier. But what was happening was it was getting stuck, and then I was sending the information and then you were releasing it. It just slowed things up a little bit.
I mean, it's a learning curve, you know. I mean, now you've done it, you can actually teach on it because you know what to do. So are you global, like all over the world? Can they find it?
So that's a really good question, especially with what you've just asked. Each country has its own laws and regulations. So there's some countries you can't get into without them testing it. Now, technically, that's what happened with America, but we didn't need an FDA for cosmetics, which is where we come to the fact, if it has biological effects in the future, it may be a topical pharmaceutical, which I think should happen, because if it's affecting the body, we need to make sure it's a positive effect, not a negative effect. And that's across the board, even if it's not injectable. So I really do understand why. But Australia, you need a TGA. TGI, I keep saying thank God it's Friday rather than TGA. TGA. So we can sell to practitioners, but they can't sell to the public without this license. The UK left the EU in 2019, so I cannot sell in Europe at the moment at all without no, completely can't. It's you have to have testing in each country. So I had quite a good business in Spain. Anywhere out the EU, it's relatively easy. But even Ireland, I don't know if you know, like North and Southern Ireland. So Southern Ireland is part of the EU. So we have to do different forms for that. So it's been a little bit of a nightmare. But I went to Spain recently to sort having a business owner there who can import cosmetics. There just needs to be someone who's the receiver of the product that is responsible for the shipping and who it's sold to. So there is ways and means, but even a new rule came out last week on tan. So our tan is DHA, 12%, 14, 16 and 18. In Europe, the whole of Europe, including Southern Ireland, you can't sell DHA tan above 10%. So we've got to make a 10% tan. But this literally came out last week, and sometimes I do feel like every week there is something.
There's always something new, yeah.
And yeah, in the UK, for example, in May, there was a massive article about how you can't say certain things relating to weight loss. You can't put before and afters on because you're insinuating that an after picture is a more desired effect.
Yeah.
So I do get it, but sometimes I think, wow, this is impossible. You've got to be
It's
cryptic in what you're
almost
trying to say.
right. I mean, it almost seems that trying to put things like, you climb, it's like you're climbing stairs, and then you get to this platform, it's like you have more stairs, it's like, when is it going to end? So from what you're saying, do you have a presence in Asia, Africa,
Nope.
and South
South
America,
Africa,
South
we've
Africa?
got a small Nigeria practitioner. But
Mm.
the only reason that is because my friend goes to Nigeria with the product as cosmetics because they couldn't afford the shipping there. So she takes it and distributes it when she goes. She helps run an orphanage there that we sponsor as well in Nigeria. So that's really positive. EJ is been a massive help for me to understand as well. Cultural difficulties.
Mhm.
Every one of my posts would have a white person on because I'm white, and you just don't realize, but that my business reaches all different types of beautiful women. So I needed help with that. As
Yeah,
much as you don't want to be deliberately excluding, which I wasn't, but I only had pictures of people that I knew,
right,
which all
right.
seemed to be white. So she
Yeah,
really helped me, and getting into America and all of you lovely females helped
yeah,
me have a broader range of different types of
yeah,
women's bodies. So
yeah,
that was quite refreshing.
yeah. Do you think now there's a reason why I'm asking this? You don't have any presence yet in Asia, like in China and Korea and what have you. Now, the
No,
reason I'm asking that is a lot of the cosmetics come from Korea. They're quite big in the aesthetic world. And I was wondering if there's a pushback from them, or you haven't gotten to them yet.
oh God, this is controversial, but let's go for it.
Okay.
Maybe their raw ingredients are not as well sourced in some products, and maybe things get sold that aren't what they say on the tin.
Mhm.
And mine is more reasonably sourced. I like to have a trace on the ingredients.
Mhm.
Seems like some things are quite chemical based. Now
Mhm.
you do sometimes have to have a filler, a protective. That's in a lot of cosmetics, but it seems like maybe the safety of the products is not at the forefront of
Of course, we know that. That's
money
yeah,
is
we
is
get that.
is
No.
so mine would be too expensive for them to buy because and they could do in there a lot cheaper over there, which is great, but it wouldn't be as safe as what I'd like to be.
I totally get you, and I think that's where I'm coming from. Because again, there are a lot of products we use here that, I mean, it comes from there, so it's cheaper, you know.
There should be definitely rules on, when
Oh
I'm
yeah.
getting pulled up on things about whether it's biological or and the things that I have to go through, and being such a small business, it sometimes feels to me like larger companies can mislabel things to get things
All the time. I mean, the bigger ones,
that's
I
no
think,
one's ever held accountable for that really, but someone like us would face prosecution or
yeah, that's
so
essentially, I mean, that's life, the bigger ones swallow the smaller ones and they get away, but then they go after the small companies coming up. So now one thing we have, and I do remember this specifically, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you. And I was going to ask you this, and it's not to make you uncomfortable, but one
yeah.
thing I do realize is you tend to, okay, I'm going to go there, but before I go there, unless wait, you're going to understand why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Now, I use your product, and like I said, I love it. I do. And I do know, when you and I have talked before, behind the scenes, and we have talked, even on the messenger, the thread, and what have you.
Yeah.
And I do remember one day, I think I was saying something, it was the price point of your
Yeah.
product. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and that's got to be something that always comes up,
Yeah.
because again, it's it could be seen as pricey.
I
So,
think that's a fair point compared to other things on the market.
right. So I wanted to address that
Yeah,
because, and then I'm going to give you my comments.
yeah, of course. So I think if we could have it made in the USA, it would be a lot cheaper. I think you're taking the brunt of a lot of customs charges and shipping. So if it was made there, which we are looking into, that would be able to make it a little bit cheaper. I will say though, the quality and the research that has gone into it, it's also been an investment, also trademarks. There is amazing products out there. I've tried them myself. But for me to even get it into the country, it has to follow certain rules and regulations. And it's not, I feel like we're a more corporate company now, and it just, everything has to be done correctly, which comes at a price. And it actually cost me a certain amount to get made in the correct way. And it's to do with the freezing and the setting and the 5-step activation of the ingredients. So believe it or not, I don't make a huge profit when I'm selling on to other countries, because I want that product out there, but then they have to put their own little bit on, and without it becoming like a pyramid scheme. That's why I like the idea of the home kits, where people can break it down and offer a smaller amount that's more affordable. But there is a way that we can cut a lot of the costs out. Shipping's gone up, everything's gone up, raw ingredients, bottles, absolutely everything's gone up. But when you export, it's the customer that's taken on but I would like to think, and your thoughts will be greatly appreciated, that we are a higher end cosmetic brand. That's sort of what I've gone to with the science and the research. And I'm not saying other products don't do that. I just think I've tried to really explain and show what it does in the skin, and that's what makes us different.
Good. And let me tell you what my comments are. And I have said it before, and you can go back to anywhere I've made comments. And I told you, because this is what I find you do. You go on the defense. You try to defend.
Of course, that is so me. That's so fair.
And I think what I did one time, because I was talking about your product, and you're like, I've put so much research in it, I've had to you said all the things you did, and I'm like, sweetheart, everybody doesn't want to shop at Walmart. Again, this is not to knock Walmart, you know what I mean, or Tesco. But my thing is, there are high-end products, and that's fine. You don't have to apologize or defend it. Do you see what I'm saying?
I think that's so right. And I've come from feeling like the world was against me to bringing out my own product, and no one would think it would work. And I do sometimes come across very defensive, but I've learned to try and look at it from other people's perspectives. But I do sometimes feel like I have to defend who I am, what I've done. And that goes back to our conversation as a woman. I'm not allowed to develop, it's ridiculous. But I wish it could be more affordable, which there is ways and means, but the high grade quality of certain ingredients will mean it's always going to come in a little bit higher. But I would say the results reflect that.
And that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it, and I get it. Being a woman, you're put on the spot, you have to defend your actions. You have to justify why you're standing in the space you are in. And I'm like, he's got a great product. The results are there. And that's why, when you go to the bar or you go to the club, you have the top shelf, right? And it's okay to aim for that, So I think, and I just wanted to share that,
when I first started, I was making a loss on the product to get it out there. And that's something I did for 3 years. And I remember someone saying, how much do you want to sell it for? And they said, say £50 dearer than what you want. And I never ever thought that I'd get to that point, but have. And that's something that I've made. So that's quite huge for me. It might not be mass amount of product, but to make something yourself and it sit on a high-end price point
Yeah,
because of its reputation, the brand and the work that's gone behind it is massive.
it is massive. It is. And, you know, again, pat yourself on the back, and I'm patting you. You did great, girl. You did. It's lovely. I mean, again, it's a luxury service, luxury product, and that's how your market, that's how you should market it. And you have people who are for you, you know.
Yeah.
It's I mean, I have, and that's something I'm going for even at my spa. I have a clientele and I know where I want to go. I know the people I want to serve. I'm not for everyone. And that's the truth. And, you know, and I do
I
know.
think it's okay though as well to use whatever works for you. I
Mhm.
see it all the time that people think they need to start with X amount of budget. You start where you are. It doesn't matter. We all start at the bottom, and there's nobody to tell you that that's not going to work. Some of my ladies just have a sauna blanket and some gel. Some of them have a £36,000 machine, and they all get results. It's down to you. So I don't want people sitting there thinking they can't afford it. Anyone, they put their mind to it, can do anything they want to,
And of
because
course,
I have.
people
You
want
have.
results. People want results. And
Yeah.
it's, you know, at the end of the day, that's what drives it. If you're getting results that you want, people don't mind spending to get results, you know?
We were actually talking today, me and Jay, and I'd love to get people's thoughts on this.
Mhm.
We think maybe in the future we would do more like franchise opportunities whereby they didn't have to buy stock.
My next thing, I was going to ask you that.
They could get commission through us just shipping it out. Because
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's them buying the stock and not knowing it's going to sell that puts people off. And I understand that. You know, if you have a quiet week in your salon or whatever, so if you could just share your results and they buy it from us without you having to hold stock, that would mean you're still earning a residual income without having to put money in yourself. So I think those that have already invested in us in the training should have the opportunity to do that. We just need to look into how.
Yeah,
What do you think?
true. And, you know, you also have to remember it's still a very new company. You jump in leaps and bounds. You
Yeah.
are really like, you're up there, you know? So I just think I mean, I don't know you personally, but I know you now. You're my friend. But I'm
Besties
really proud
now.
of you. We're besties now.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really proud of you. I love women who I'm into women empowerment. I love it when
I
women.
think that that's
Yeah.
massive, and I really appreciate that because I think that's what we've built as well.
Mm.
A network of women who will help each other.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, we all have a little bit of a bitch and a moan, and
Oh, yeah.
that's
Totally.
females together. But
Yeah.
there is no backstabbing, there's no ulterior motives. We can challenge each other and ask why. We're allowed to ask why if we don't agree with something. I think we're all defensive, like I was, but you are allowed to ask. If you don't agree with something, you can use your voice and say, can I just, because you don't understand it, so you want to hear it from their perception. People are so quick to criticize rather than understand from the other people's perspective that you end up in a war. But if we all just sat and listened a little bit more to each other, I don't think there'd be as much drama as what there
Yeah.
is.
Good luck with that. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to happen. But have you been here in the States? Have you been here to you know, push your product?
No, and I was due to come in October to Texas, but I'm not coming now because they don't really want me to speak at the event anymore, which is fine. I don't think I'm a good fit for what they want to do. So I'm okay with that. It was a little bit of a knee jerk. I wanted to cry at first, but it's understandable, you know, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's their choice.
Okay, you're talking to me like I have a background story. I don't, but we can talk
Yeah.
about that behind.
There isn't, I don't want to start slagging people off or anything. It's their choice. It was their event, and
Yeah.
they just felt like, you know, there was a bit of miscommunication on bits and bobs, and
Mm.
just they didn't think like I was a suitable person for their brand. They're a little bit more high end than me, so I accepted that and I've took it on the chin. That's life.
Right, that's life, and you keep going and keep moving on. So my question actually is not even about people bringing you to their own event. I'm talking about you driving your vehicle and
I
come.
would like to
Yeah,
do my own event
yeah,
in April next year with Jay in Texas.
okay.
I don't really want it to be a paid event. I think it will be like a reward event for active practitioners, and then anyone who is interested in the business could come along, and then maybe just some hands-on product training. But I don't want to make it a money. I think people who've already invested in the business will come free, because I don't think they need to pay any more than what. So if they've been active in the business, they come as a given. We did it in the UK where the top 10 practitioners had a spa day, and I'd love to reward people for doing well. But I think I'd just like to come out there and get to know people. I
And
move tomorrow.
right, and that's what I'm talking about. You coming
Yeah.
out there, and so to network and meet your practitioners and get new ones. And if you can just do, like you do, how musicians would do the tour. That's what I'm
Yeah.
asking. It would be nice if you
I
did that.
I would love to do that. I think that'd be something we could do next year. I think that'd be amazing. I think I
Yeah.
do need to go to every state
If you can,
and
it
spend
doesn't
a
have to
couple
be
of months there.
we
We
can't.
definitely need to get the product made there, so I would have to spend a lot of time over there doing it anyway. But that would save a lot of problems when we're talking about reclassifying as a topical pharmaceutical in some, to have it in an FDA registered facility developed, cuts out a lot of paperwork.
Okay.
Because it's there, they can check it.
Uh-huh. I
It's
think, well, yeah.
approved.
Yeah, you should think about that. Something else I wanted to mention is the industry as we know it is actually also quite new. It's so not so regulated, and people don't know. I mean, the other day I was calling my the IRS because we have to pay sales tax.
Yeah.
I was describing my services, and they're like, huh? And you get a lot of that,
Yeah.
like what? So the reason why I'm bringing this up is, so you do have a lot of startups like me, and coming into getting your product. So I think also things are going to be much easier and better when people have more you have more people experienced in who have more solid in business. Do you know what I mean? Because right now
Yeah,
it's
I
just
think
all
that's
about
fair.
money.
And when I first started, people were like, I don't need training for a gel. And I've always gave free product with the training, but I think you do need training with the gel, because the gel work differently in the body, and it's not the people. But if you use that gel wrong and it sits in the lymphatic system, or it doesn't get the visceral fat, you won't get a result. So the training is only to help you get results. That's all. I don't think people need X amount of training to use a topical product, but I think by following a set program, how to get results with the certain types of case studies we've shown, just makes it better.
I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, you should get trained in a new product. I mean, I work as a registered nurse. Every time we have new products or new service or new whatever, you have to do an in-service,
I've
and
noticed as well, we had a little bit of a discussion over like oils and serums and creams, and it seems to be the more highly pigmented skin, a serum doesn't absorb as well sometimes, so a cream is better. Now, I didn't know that. It's not something I'd come across before,
yeah.
but you understand the term thirsty skin and dry skin. So some people are finding the thermo cream was hotter than the thermo serum, but that is only to do with the pores being oily already.
Right.
So it's funny how you learn, but that's all new. But
Yeah.
that fascinated me though. I
True.
just,
Yeah, life is all about, I mean, we're learning and we're learning every day. No one has all the answers. I believe that, you know. But totally, you're learning. Yeah, you know, this is your product, but then you're still absorbing, you know, learning, and there's room to learn. I'm really, really excited, you know. Again, if you're just tuning in, I'm talking like we're doing live, but it's okay. If you're
yeah,
just
they'll be pressing
tuning
play from the
in.
start.
I've been talking to the very wonderful and very knowledgeable Kiki Medelian. She's the face behind Liquid Lipo Limited. I mean, it's quite the rage in this industry, the body sculpting, aesthetic industry, beauty industry. And how do you feel about that? The people talking about your products? Because I see you on Facebook. It was like, Kiki. It makes you
It's,
feel, makes you feel
I'm
good.
just a no, I'm really am a normal person, and I think sometimes people want to hit me over the head because I say things that maybe a CEO shouldn't say. But I think it's grounding to just be yourself. I've spent years trying to be someone I wasn't. So this is me.
Yeah.
And you just go for it. And I celebrate other women so much because it's not easy. It really, really isn't easy. But sometimes I do put things on and I get reminded of what I've wrote and I'm like,
No, but it's
can't resist.
real. You want to
I
be
am
relatable.
real.
You want to be relatable. Especially now you're starting out. You don't want to be so removed from the people you're growing with, you know. So I think you're doing great. I think you're hard on yourself. I think you're very hard on yourself.
I am.
Yeah, I know. I know because I can be that way sometimes, but I've learned to not to sweat things. I've learned
A
to,
lot of I've had a lot of help spiritually, which is odd as a scientist, but
yeah,
I really do believe in positive affirmations and
yeah,
positive mindsets,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
that's huge for me. And I'm not necessarily religious, but I believe that God is around and is part of us, and we're all part of the universe. And I can't disprove that as a scientist, but what I can prove is that by having a positive mindset
Yeah.
and not self-sabotaging yourself and not sort of projecting your anger onto other people makes you a better person. And by waking up grateful every day, you get more. And that is something that you cannot deny. If you wake up miserable and want to attack other people and look at the problems in the world, things aren't going to go great. And if you wake up grateful, not in a delusional state that everything's great, but that everything that you do is a lesson. And, you know, some days you just look back at the things you've been through and you think, Jesus, you know, how have I even survived that? But everything comes down to the now. It's all been relevant in at some point to what you need now. So you might, even like me, understanding how a perfume worked on the skin helped me understand topical products and how people react differently. Me having chronic illnesses helped me not cure myself, but helped me understand other women. And I can say to people, I can see that you're trying with diet and exercise, but if you've got a blockage in the lymphatic system, if you've got subcutaneous fat problems, this is not going to help. And that's okay because people are out there starving themselves and pushing themselves to limits that is never going to fix the problem they've got. I think we all need to be honest about that. If
Yeah,
you're trying your best every day and things aren't changing, there's something not right. So you
right.
need to look into that.
Yeah, and I think, well, I mean, it's just like what you said, it's ignorance, you know, they don't know until,
Of
you know, I
course.
mean, like
But
you
that
went through
is, you
that.
might understand as a medical professional as well. There is sometimes not the best service of
Yeah,
people to understand what's going on. And sometimes it's easy to say, oh, lose weight, go on a diet. But maybe they need a scan, maybe they need to see their lymphatic system. You know, we're a little bit hard on overweight people, I think, sometimes, you know.
yes, we are. Yes, we are. But that's why people, practitioners in this industry, there's a lot of teaching that still needs to be done. I'm all about teaching and getting the word out there. There are things that I have discovered in research, you know, listening and reading and talking to people, that a lot of like the lymphatic system, a lot of people didn't even know how important it is. You know, you
I
don't
didn't even
know.
know there was more than one type of fat till I went to university.
Yeah. And this is interesting you're talking about this, because I have people who are doctors
Yeah.
who don't really put so much emphasis, and I'm talking medical doctors, on the lymphatic system. I mean, I do have actually one doctor who's my client, and we got talking about the lymphatic system. It's like, I didn't even know it did all of that. But that's the truth, you know. People think
Yeah,
when
so
you're
they
not
learn the fundamental workings of the body. It's not the vessels, it's not the
yeah.
pathways, which I feel like that's what I have gone and specialized in. So
That's the thing, you've got to specialize. It's like I didn't do labor and delivery, or mom, what do you call it? Something, or be whatever. I didn't work with babies.
midwifery, yeah.
Yeah, it's midwifery over there, but over here it's called labor
Yeah.
and delivery, I think. So it's like you're asking me, yeah, I did in nursing school. I went over, you know, you gloss over it, but I'm not working in that department, so I don't know. So it's the same
Yeah, my
thing.
mum is a mental health nurse. She's just got a pediatrics job with ADHD.
Okay.
But we'll phone mum and go, you know, and she'll say, you best asking Kirsty or Kiki rather than asking me,
Yeah.
because I only know about the brain.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, totally. So yeah, I you know, just talking to you, they're just so, I mean, you inspire me, you know, because essentially you sharing your story now has shown me that you've had to go over, you know, like a
Yeah, I think as well, I seen this post the other day in Erica's group about this lady um who she didn't have any money and she was selling the machines and she felt like really deflated. I think we've all had that moment where we want to give up a
Mhm.
lot, and it happens a lot, and sometimes you really need that moment to change, but it doesn't mean that you you've not given up, you're changing direction, and we're hard on ourselves. We sometimes are stubborn so much when things aren't working. You were allowed to change your goal, move the goalpost. You know, I think when I went to uni I'd make a fat dissolve gel and become a global distributor. No, I thought I'd go on and do my masters and work in a lab and do research, but when I got into that, I was like, no, I want to help people. That's what I want to do. And more so controversially, not everyone in the industry has the forefront of people's health at their goal in medicine.
True.
So I want to help people by understanding, not just necessarily prescribing something. And that is sometimes a quick fix if we really go back to the raw, what is causing this, not masking it. We can fix a lot of stuff, and that might be why a lot of people don't like me.
Well, everybody's not meant to like you. You don't like everybody, do you?
Nope.
No, so totally fine. You're doing okay. So, what is your advice for young people, young or new people coming into business? What's your advice, especially women?
Don't listen to people who aren't paying your bills. It's one, because honestly, my dad is the most pessimistic person in my whole life. And I remember going to pitch between him and my husband. I'm surprised I've ever done anything, because they will give me worst case scenario about what's going to happen.
I know,
But I
that's
don't listen.
crazy. I know
I
what
know.
you're saying. That it's so, go ahead.
Because in their defense, they don't want us to get hurt. But do you stop a kid falling its whole life to not experience a scab? Because how scared will they be when they do fall over? And I've made a lot of mistakes, but I've learned a lot by doing them. So it's okay to make mistakes. What I'd say is put out what it is that you really want and what makes you happy. And I think the most important, forget about money. Don't chase money, because it's not a great way to live life. You can chase money forever and you'll never have enough. But I tell you, if you change people's lives and help them, you'll feel better every day. The more people you help, the greater your life will become. And that is what I'd say, because my life has changed by helping other people, and there is no other reason. Or at the time I spent sitting with people and helping them, and then helping people with their own businesses, is why I've been rewarded and why we've got a successful business. If I'd have put money before helping people, I wouldn't have a successful business now.
Lovely. That's words of wisdom, people, and that's the truth. If they're not paying your bills, please. No, it's the truth, because there's so many naysayers and they're actually in your family.
Yes.
It could be your husband, it could be your parents, it could be your
Some people want you to do well, but not better than them.
Yeah, true.
But I want everyone to do better than me, believe it or not. I want people who get better results with my products than me. I'm like, wow, you've really took in everything that I took years to understand. And I celebrate that. I love to see everyone doing well. When Erica brought her products out, people were like, oh, you know, do you think that's going to affect your business? And I said, I love Erica. She's an amazing, knowledgeable person. Her product will be fantastic. And I bought it myself.
I don't understand when people ask things like that.
They just like to cause trouble between
That's
other people.
But, you know,
that was never going to happen, because I absolutely celebrate. Erica supported me at the very beginning, me coming from the UK, and her product's good and it works. And there's a different price point in the market, and if it works, it works. But she's the body contouring queen. She's made her own stuff. It's great.
This is the thing, and you know, I have to say this, and that irritates the heck out of me, but I know life is just made up of troublemakers, and that's their job, to make trouble, and you just keep doing your job. But this is my thing. Liquid Lipo is not the only product out there in the market. It's not going to be the only one. There have been products before your product, and they're going to be products after your product. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's enough room. I never understand when people, I don't think that way, but I know I think
there should be good alternatives, and with research, and that's exactly what's happened there. So someone's very knowledgeable in the lymphatic system, and to bring something out fully natural and by understanding the exits and entrances and what it does, there needed to be something like that at a more affordable price point in the USA, rather than just like drugstore or like Asian options that were coming in like full of chemicals. So I celebrate that.
Of course you should. You should celebrate everyone. I mean, come on, people are making products every day. There are people who are not making the news or on Facebook, and they're helping people lose weight, you know? So there's
I think that's great. I think anyone can make it, as long as it's not causing any adverse effects and it's safe. Eventually you might have to go following licensing and go through everything that you need to do. But you've got to start off by just having a go, because if you worry about all of that stuff down the line, you're never ever going to do anything.
No, you're not. So I'm going to ask you this. Now, with Liquid Lipo, do you have competition in the UK?
No.
So the only place you have, well, I can't say the only place, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of competition here in the States.
Yeah, because the women are more capable of making stuff. It's not really something you can do in the UK. You can't really just make up your own. It all has to be done in a lab and licensed, and there's not many women that do that. But the good thing about people in America is they will mix things up with whatever they've got and get a result, and that's to be celebrated. So the closest thing here was a water loss wrap, which I'd tried, so that straight away sort of blew that out the mark, you know, out the water anyway. But there hasn't been anything that's actually removed subcutaneous fat that isn't injectable.
Okay.
So that's but I get a lot of stick more so in the UK than I do in America, believe it or not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's strange. America's my biggest market.
for almost everyone. I mean, you want to target America, whatever industry you're in. If you can conquer just a section of it, you're doing well. So, I mean, I really, really wish you well. And one thing I want to, and I'm probably going to light a fire under your butt or your bum, is you really want to make a tour. I want you to come to the United States. Not on, I mean, it's okay having speaking engagements in different other people's program, but you branding and coming as Kiki Liquid Lipo. Do you see what I'm saying? You come and let people know you and make the tour around the country. I know it's a big thing. What you can do is partner and collaborate with your practitioners. I mean, if it's something that you want to do, I'm in Ohio, and it's something you're really, like, hey,
I'd love to do that. I think it's an amazing experience, but I don't know whether in the future I need to be in America, because if that's the biggest market, that's you go where your people are. So that is always something to consider as well.
What do you know, like coming to live here?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah, well, if that's you go where your business is. And this business is freedom for me. I went to Spain with the family and worked. I'm going to Mexico in October, working. I'm just doing what I love around the world. It's amazing, isn't it, really?
Lovely. It's lovely to do what you want to do. There's nothing.
That's exactly what freedom is. And don't get me wrong, the 22-hour days and chained to the phone and people asking questions all hours doesn't feel like freedom, but it definitely feels like the road to freedom. And
it's definitely different from if you have to spend those 22 hours in somebody else's business. I mean, I quit my job last year because I just got tired. I was putting so much energy and time and sweat and blood in somebody else's business. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do mine, So I walk long hours, but it's fine. It's for me. I love it.
It is for me, and the family sort of understand that. I used to work long hours for someone else for very low pay, it drained my energy and made me not the person that I was, just almost like a robot.
Yeah.
So now I get to be myself and make products and help people. So that's exactly what
come on Zoom with Glam Care, not Amy. See, it's lovely when you the manager of your own time. It's lovely. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes,
it really is.
Did you want to ask anything else? Were we going to touch on what it's like working with the husband?
Because that was my next thing, and then no, because you did have a post. It was your anniversary, I think, and I was, this speaks to me because there was something you said about, you've knocked heads and you've been at each other's throat, but you'll never change it for anything. I'm like, that resonates with me, because sometimes I just want to kill my husband.
I think last year was make or break, really, to be honest, because Kev was a manager of a care home. He worked through COVID. We had very little time together, and I was just up here and he was like there, and he just couldn't understand, like, I'd changed as a person, and I couldn't even have a conversation with him at one point because he would be interrupting my business, as bad as that sounds, and there was just no shared roles, and it was sad. It really, really was sad. But he'd come home from work and be able to stop, and I couldn't. So we literally had to go, right, what is it? And I said, I think I need you to be part of the business, or don't think that things are gonna continue, because it was so fast paced for me, and I was dealing with a lot of stuff at home, and I felt very alone. And it's not that he didn't care, and when he was at home he didn't help, but I just felt like I was in it on my own, and there was a lot of stuff I was dealing with on a daily basis.
I totally get what you're saying. I do.
So him being on board, don't get me wrong, it was really difficult at first.
I don't even think, I think you're brave. I really think you are, because I'm not sure that's something I can do. I don't think it works
Well,
well.
it works now, and from Monday, I don't know if you've seen the post in the group, he's got his own little distribution centre.
No,
So
I didn't know. I
yeah,
didn't know.
he'll do all of that on its own. So he's going to be his own manager of distribution. It might be my product, but he's independent of me.
Good.
He runs distribution. He's got his own space,
You
but it's together for a goal.
right, because I see people, you know, couples working together. I'm like, how do you do that? I don't think I could. No.
If my husband's in the same room as me and I am not seemingly working, he will involve me in his stuff. I mean, can you hold this box shut while I put the tape on it? I'm like, excuse me, I'm working.
I know.
But I'm not physically working, so he thinks he needs to involve me in stuff.
Oh my God. I mean, it fascinates me when I see couples work together because I don't
He
think
doesn't shut up talking either. He wakes up really happy and enthusiastic. I need 3 coffees. I've been working since however. But he loves life. He's
Oh.
great. Yeah.
You know, again, you complement each other, so that's a bonus. That's good. You know, how old are you have just the one? I mean, you don't
We've
have to.
got 3 between us, and I always have to mention the 2 little boys that we lost, ectopics, because then it might not be here, but they are part of our lives. But we've got Megan, who's 19. She's a sports teacher at university. Then we've got Demi, who helps with horses, and she's very caring. She loves animals. She's doing pet and animal care at college. She's 17. So they're both Kevs, but we've had joint custody of them really for 12 years. And then we've got Aiden, who used to be Lily. So born a girl, now a boy. I've gone from a quiet, shy little girl who's so anxious to a really annoying teenage boy.
Right. Oh, nice. Wow, you've got your hands full, haven't you?
Yeah, but he finally goes to school 2 years later than planned. So that'll be great for him as well. He's finding himself along the journey, but had I been at work, there was a lot of issues that couldn't have been dealt with had I been at work, you know, like I don't do anything.
Right. Yeah.
But me
Don't do
being
anything.
here, fundamentally
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
to
To
be there as
I
sport has
know.
been.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing. When God is staring you, sometimes you don't know. See, you need it to be this, so you can be there for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So that's
definitely. There
things.
was no way when COVID hit, I was working in a clinic and I was meant to go back, but when he didn't start going to, would be like high school, junior school, you know, was 13, he's going to be 14. I could not commit to being there. So there was only one way I could do, and it was converting my living room into a clinic and distribution centre. So we currently live upstairs. We've got 3 stories, and upstairs is like a bed sit. So it's not a luxury life. We have a couch and a bed upstairs, but we are getting our living room back. We have our own. But for the past 12 months, with Kev leaving his job to help, we have to dig deep and really crack on with it. And we haven't had a living room. So but it'd be lying if I said it was easy. But nothing worth doing is ever easy. And if it was easy, everyone would do it.
You gave the answer. That's it. I mean, that's it. You said it all. You know, it's a new business, so you've got to get in the trenches and get things going. But it's going to get better and bigger. Rome wasn't built in a day.
No, and I think it's funny how it has only been going relatively short time. So you're right, I am hard on myself. I don't know the answers to everything still. I really don't. And sometimes I think, oh, I should have known that. But how? Why would I have known that without specialising in that? So you're right. I unwillingly try my best every day for every person to be a good person and try and do things in the best way that I know how to. So if that falls short, sometimes it is not deliberate, it's due to knowledge.
So last word for now, because you're going to be back. We're going to do a live. I would love to do a live with you where people can talk to you. I do know a lot of people here in the United States, and I'm sure in the UK, would like to talk to you about your products, you know, and ask questions and what have you. But last word, what do you want to be known for? What do you know, like?
Saving the world.
You're very passionate about that one, yeah?
I want to help people understand their own bodies and help them to heal themselves. As crazy as that sounds, that is as simple as it is. It's not about money for me. Yes, I've got a successful business. But, you know, I spend a lot of time with people for free, and my business enables me to do that. But my mission on earth is to help people understand their bodies, stop being so hard on themselves. Exactly what I am to me. I just want to make people feel happy, understand what's going on, and just give them a little bit of knowledge to aid them to heal themselves, really, I think is the key. But that's what, if I have something on my tombstone, it will be that I always tried to help.
Lovely. That's beautiful. That's a lovely place to stop. It's beautiful. So you want to save the world. Do you have a cape? Do you have a cloak?
I've got scrubs.
Good. That's great. Kiki, I've loved just talking to you. I love the passion in your voice, your personality. And you might not know this, but it comes across as you don't, and I think again, it's something you had to do. You don't take no for an answer, you know, and I get that from you. It's like no is not an option, you know. And you needed something, you went after it, and now you're sharing it with the world. You've got a beautiful product, and I'm glad.
I do. I think that's really true what you said, that there was no other option here.
No other
And
option,
if you
and
can't bail,
yeah.
you know, sometimes in life, when I was in the other situation, I could walk away. There is no walking away from this. I am in it balls deep.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no,
literally balls
yeah.
deep. Yeah, and that's a wonderful thing. And I wish you success, and you know, you and your family, because it's everybody involved, not just you, it's the kids, it's the husband, and it's a family thing. Because essentially, that's what it is when you go into business. Like me now, it's the whole family. I mean, when things that times I'm yelling at my husband, like, you're supposed to have this up, why isn't it up? You know, and so I get it.
They
Yeah.
have their own time frame, you know.
Oh, girl, don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that, because we're going to be on that forever. Oh my God. Oh, okay. So, but it's been lovely talking. It's just, you're just so relatable. You know, it's like you're just sitting next to me, and you know, I love that, you know. And that's a good thing, because you want to be known as that. So thank you for coming on. I totally appreciate this, and we will do a live, because I realize someone's itching to go live, and we'll do that. But thank you so much, Kiki.
You're welcome.
And we'll be chatting some more after this. Okay, so you be careful, be safe, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you, my lovely. I shall exit.
Right, we should exit. All right, bye-bye.
Bye, lovely.